Okay, so we spoke about the Miami Heat sides of things, everything being great, obviously. Up 2-0, going back to Miami with 2 games at home. And it feels like I would give him like a 99% chance of advancing to the finals now, barring any catastrophic injuries or whatever. But this obviously comes at the expense of the Boston Celtics, who were favored all season, were more than favorites once the Bucks got out of there, and even more favorites once they were able to get the Sixers out of there in 7. Remaining healthy, coming off Jason Tatum finally coming to life and dominating a game from start to finish on both hands for 51 points and beating an all-time records in Game 7. Everyone thought, okay, the Celtics they're not going to roll over Jimmy Butler, but they got this in 6. At least this is what I thought. And from what I've gathered, this is what the world thought. But this hasn't happened. And why? The obvious answer, and I want to say the low-hanging fruit answer, has been Coach Joe Mazzulla, who's been catching his strays left and right. People saying that he does not know what he's going to do, what he's doing on the field. People saying that he's going to be done coaching in 2-3 years. No one would actually pick him up after the Celtics. And I'm like, he is making mistakes, but he's not the biggest part the biggest pie of the blame. So sorry, I can't even speak. The biggest pie of the blame is not even on him, in my opinion. It's on the 2 stars. It's on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Here's why. Well, when do the Celtics actually struggle? In the clutch. Who has the ball in their hands in the clutch? Those 2 stars. Jason Tatum, let's start with him. He has yet to make a single field goal in the 4th quarter. How can you coach that? You're just not winning. If the best player, if Jimmy Butler goes scoreless in 2 consecutive 4th quarter, the Heat are down 2-0. If Nikola Jokic goes scoreless in back-to-back 4th quarters, with turnovers. Let's not even forget that, because I believe he had like 3 in Game 1, and yesterday he had that charge. So yeah, with turnovers, if Nikola Jokic does that, Nuggets lose. LeBron does that, Lakers lose, and I can keep going. So let's start with that. Jaylen Brown, he's been great against the Sixers, but he's been struggling. Like Jimmy Butler has put the clamps on him, and now he's just forcing stuff, and he's not efficient at all. What he had last night. Last night, Jaylen Brown had 16 points on 7 for 23 shooting. Come on. Like, you're not winning if that happens. Also, the Celtics are just not making threes, and for a whole part of the season, they've just lived and died by the 3, and they have yet to actually have those big shooting nights that they had against the Sixers and the Hawks. And this is, you got to give credit to the Miami Heat defense and Coach Spoelstra, who's really able to get their guys to actually communicate on defense, rotate, and run him off the 3-point line. Against the Sixers, they would get like 53s a game, and they would leave with the results. They have yet to put up more than 43s against the Miami Heat, and that's been the difference. And that's not even on coaching, in my opinion. What is on coaching is why you're not calling your timeouts, bro. Take your timeouts. Like, this is ridiculous. You can't allow a 46-13 round, and you don't call a single timeout. That's ridiculous. And there's no reason to actually keep them for the end of the game if you're going to be out of the game by the end of the game. That's silly stuff. But yeah, man, I believe it's on the stars. They just got to play better. They just got to play better in the clutch. They got to perform. And one last thing. If you remember that series against the Sixers that I watched every single dribble of that series. There were times when the Celtics would actually sit down and go to another level defensively, and they would just lock everything up. The Sixers couldn't do anything. That has happened, I want to say, in the 4th quarter of Game 6. And ever since James Harden did that dumbass offensive foul on Jaylen Brown, they started locking up as a team. And the Miami Heat couldn't do anything. And that's not coaching. That's just envy. That's just discipline. The coach can only tell you so much. You have the principles, you know, and you're capable of doing it. But for whatever reason, they're not tapping into that mode, that fighting mode, like that against the Heat. Maybe it's because they underestimated them. Maybe it's because of the rivalry that they have with the Sixers. Maybe it's because they saw the MVP on the other side and they just had more respect, but they're just not doing it so far. And this is why they're down 2-0. And this is not down to coaching. And guess who actually agrees with me? Jason Tatum went to the press conference. They asked him about Joe Mazzulla, and he was like, hey, Joe is not out there missing shots. It's on us. And I agree with that. So I just wanted to say that, man, because especially with the firing of Ime Udoka, which was bogus as fuck, I do agree with that. But now it seems like it's just the easy excuse to blame all of the struggles on Joe Mazzulla, and it's way more to the story. So I believe it's definitely a 50-50 thing. Like, it's 50% coaching and 50% the stars have to be more consistent, because they definitely have the better team. So if the star play up to their level, they're going to be okay. I mean, although now they're in the hole, but they just wouldn't be there at the stars perform in the fourth quarter. So yeah, man. That's all I had to say. Get in the comment section and give me your thoughts about my little soliloquy right there.